What's up? What's happening? I'm George Balekji. He's Travis Thomas. Welcome into Foxborough Rush. We got a post-op here. Overtime loss for the Patriots, 20-17 to the Tennessee Titans. Drake May looked fantastic, and then Drake May also looked like a rookie. Yeah. 95 rushing yards on the ground for Drake May. Third time last 4 games has been the leading rusher for the Patriots. All his rushing yards coming on by scrambling. Finished 206 passing yards in this one, but 2 interceptions, including the game-sealing interception in OT, and a bad strip sack fumble as well. The highs and lows of depending on a rookie quarterback to be your best player on your roster. T, what was your takeaway from this loss from the Pats? 20-17.
Go for 2.
Yep.
Go for 2. Listen, man. This season's going nowhere fast. We knew that before this damn game of 2 terrible teams. I mean, what difference does it make? What are you going to overtime for? It was pulling teeth to get that touchdown. At the end of the game, go for 2. Send a message to your team. Hey, guys, I believe in you. I have stones as a coach. Watch this. We're going to go for it. If you don't get it, it's okay. Where were you going anyways? Nowhere. I mean, it's all right. We could all live with that. No one's second-guessing that if you go for 2 in that moment. No one, even if you don't get it. If you get it, think about this, George. You've won 2 in a row. This rookie phenom's playing great.
Yep.
Oh, we're believing. Then maybe you can look at the schedule and say, you know what? Maybe they can win this game. Maybe they can win that game. Maybe you win 4, 5, 6 games. No. Hey, let's just kick it and go into overtime with a defense that can't stop a nosebleed. Okay, they haven't done anything for 4 quarters. The Titans are running all down our face. Not Eddie George. Not King Henry. No.
This is unfair.
No, it's not.
Tony Pollard's a good player.
He's
good.
Please.
He's
Tony
good.
Pollard. Okay?
He's good.
Tony Pollard is not on the same level as the backs that I just said, and he looked like it against the Patriots, didn't he? I mean, so that's my takeaway. Go for 2. And you, George, you tell me that Jerod Mayo has all this job security, which I personally still think is horse shack, but that's another topic for another Foxborough Rush. But you tell me this guy's job is safe. To go for 2. I mean, bruh, you're not going to get fired anyway, right? Go for 2. Send a message to your team. He didn't do it.
Don't paint me as an anti-go for 2 guy, because I was.
You were screaming go for 2. You were with me.
Dude, the second they got that ball to start, 1:40 left in the game, no timeouts. You have to go for 2 of your score. But it's bigger than that. We saw 2 teams match up today, are the 2 worst teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
And you saw once again the roster of the Patriots rear its ugly head around.
Yep.
And this is bigger than the players on the field. It is the GM that runs the front office in Elliott Wolf. It is the head coach and the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator that calls it. They were run all over. They couldn't run the ball. For a second straight week, they had more yards after contact than actual net rushing yards. What does that say to you? Can't block up front. Can't find space for your running back, and he's making magic happen with nothing. But this is also a team that for 4 straight games is putting everything on their rookie quarterback. Drake May was great with his legs, made some very big mistakes with his arm, but that's what you get from a rookie quarterback 4 games into his pro career.
Right.
This team is bad. This game against the Titans was winnable, and it was a reflection on the construction of the roster and a reflection on the head coach that they lost it. Yes, you should go for 2 at the end of regulation, but the key thing was they didn't have any timeouts in under 2 minutes. And you know why? They used 2 right before they needed to, because they burnt 1 with just under 11 minutes to go in the game because they didn't have enough guys on the field on a punt return. And that timeout, whether you use it after the touchdown or after Hunter Henry gets you down into the red area, you get everyone composed, you get everyone locked in and go, hey, if we score here, we go for 2 right away, we get the win on the road. But again, there's no discipline there. There isn't any talent. There's key guys that are great. There's so many issues with this Patriots team. And once again, we saw it again in that Dolphins loss. Where the head coaches and the coaching decisions left that team out to dry. This time they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't run the ball. That's 2 of 3 boxes you have to check to not be a soft team. Couldn't stop the run, couldn't run the ball. Once again, it is coaching decision-making, and it is discipline that left the Patriots out to dry. Drake May was great in flashes. He was bad in flashes. That's a roller coaster you will get. This coaching staff is not good enough to depend on a rookie to win you games, and that's what they did today. He made magic happen. We needed coaching to step up. They did not. And then in overtime, the Titans had their way.
Yeah.
8 rushes out of their 12 plays. 8 rushes, all 3 or more yards, just hacked away at it and got the game-winning field goal.
I mean, that's what they should have done. That's what they did all game was run it down the Patriots' face. I mean, look, bro. You talked about it. Clock management at the end of the game. Terrible.
Switching up the O-line when last week was fine. And
Terrible.
went to last week's O-line to finish out this game.
Terrible. So you lose a turnover battle.
Yeah.
Penalties were a problem. You won't roll the dice on the 2-point conversion like we're talking about. The defense sucks, which is your side of the ball, Jerod Mayo. Please, somebody, enlighten me. I know we're bringing a guest on. I mean, somebody tell me what Jerod Mayo brings to the table. I don't see it. I don't.
He was handpicked 5 years ago, according to the owner. That's what he brings.
But what does he bring?
We've seen nothing. Because again, after the Bengals game, Bengals were high,
Yeah.
Seattle was okay,
Yeah.
and then they cratered against the Jets. Same thing. You beat the Jets this time in a staring contest between 2 bad teams, but you executed when you had to.
That's right.
Which they showed against the Titans as well. Running game wasn't there, but when they got close, like being set up by a Marcus Jones punt return, they were able to punch the ball in and make things happen. But again, it is Jets good, Titans bad. Where do they go from here? There's no continuity.
George,
there's no consistency.
They say all the time, teams take on the persona, the identity of their head coach.
Yeah.
What does he bring to the table? That's my question. Right?
We're still trying to find that out.
That's right.
Look, the only reason I can give you that he has job security is because of Robert Kraft, and that's it. And that's not a good argument to be made.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring him in. Sean McGuire of NESN.com covering this game as well. Catch his latest wherever you want to get your Patriots coverage, but on NESN.com as well. Sean, we saw the loss 2017, the final in overtime. Patriots losing. This one where Drake May showed his flashes of being a rookie, showed his flashes of greatness. What was your takeaway from this loss from the Pats to drop them to 2-7 on the year?
I think a lot of it comes down to Drake, like you said. I think his willingness to not let what happened last week and getting a concussion, suffering from a concussion, for him to not let that kind of alter how he plays. And he talked about it after the game. He wants to make opponents pay, is how he said it. So he's not going to alter the way that he plays. He's not going to alter his dual threat ability, everything like that. And I think you really saw the scrambling ability, the off script plays that he's able to make. I think big picture, it's confirmation that you have your quarterback. And I think that's as important as anything. We've probably already been entering that territory, nearing that territory over his first 2 plus starts, including last week. So, but I think today is you really saw like, all right, he is the guy. He is the Josh Allen type. I think it was Devon Godshaw who was telling reporters after the game, that was like a Josh Allen 2.0 performance, and I really think you saw that. I also think that they're just putting so much on him. And, we heard Elliott Wolf earlier this offseason say that he thought the Patriots were in position to excel. And, what was a quote? He thought the Patriots could support a rookie quarterback. And that's not the case. I mean, and it was more evident today, I think, than usual. I mean, for your running backs to go out and 12 carries for 15 rushing yards,
Yep.
I mean, that's laughable. That is incredible. Like, I really feel like it's almost a fake stat, but that's terrible. And there wasn't a ton from the receivers either. I mean, you got Hunter Henry, who is as consistent as anyone, I would say, in that room. Kendrick Bourne showed a little bit of something this week as compared to weeks past, but there really wasn't a ton around him. And it's kind of, how many times have I said this talking to you guys? It's kind of where the Patriots are at, but I think that's just the case. And so you finally, it's cemented that you have your quarterback. That's fantastic news. That's the most important news to come out of the entire season. But, reflecting and thinking that the Patriots this year put enough around him is just not the case.
S-Mac, you know where I'm going. To go for 2
Do I?
or to not go for 2. Sean McGuire, What would you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting question, and I kind of thought it was a little funny how Jerod pretty much said, Yeah, that's an interesting question, but I'm not going to answer it. Essentially, when he was talking to reporters post game, I'm not completely against not going for it. I completely understand why you would say to go for it because, the way the game has played out and all that sort of thing. I just think that Patriots were so one-dimensional on offense when it came down to it that, scoring in that tight of a situation, there's no threat of a run game, in my opinion. And the fact that Drake needed 12 seconds to lob the ball and that off script, but it was a fluky play to even tie that for that touchdown that eventually kind of tie the game. But that was just such a fluky play, and I don't know. I understand both sides of it. I think that I probably in that circumstance I probably would have kicked the 2-point convert. I probably would have kicked the field goal.
They wish you could kick a 2-point conversion there. The one argument, though,
nice.
and that was Jerod asked, does the fatigue set in? Does all the running around? And Drake May said the same thing, I was gassed. Kendrick Bourne said, I could not run anymore. That definitely set in on why you kick the point after and just take it into OT. Yeah. You're on the road. You play to win. This is a bad team. You have no business being in games, even against other bad teams like the Tennessee Titans. Go back just a week ago. You had to have it on a 2-point conversion against the Jets, and they got it. I think it goes back to, again, 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter in the game. Not enough guys on the field for a punt return. They call a timeout and have to burn it there. It's a reflection of the coaching. Even go beginning of the game, first drive of the game, in field goal range, penalty pushes them back. Joey Sly hooks it, and they miss a 56-yard return. What do you make of we just see the inconsistencies. We see that this team, as they show promise, like a win against the Jets, where they do enough and find a way to win, like today, they find ways to lose against the Titans. What do you make of this week to week we've seen with the Patriots where there's no continuity at all, Sean?
Yeah, I think a lot of the problems that surface today are the problems that we've seen, in weeks past. And, that last game last week, it was almost like this big hurrah that, the Patriots, got the soft label off their back. But in reality, they still allowed 4 yards on the ground. They still, their running backs did next to nothing on the ground. I think it was just over 2 yards a carry. So again, I'm pointing numbers last week, but I think we saw a lot of that stuff resurface. I mean, they got gashed on the ground, especially on the edge. When Tony Pollard got to the edge today, they got gashed there. They couldn't run the ball. Again, 12 carries for 15 yards from running backs. Fortunately, I think that there were some, you talk about the penalty on special teams. I get that. I do think that there were, special teams, I think, was the best unit up by the Patriots today. Those 2 big punt returns, including the one that set them up at midfield before that 2-minute drive. Those are crucial plays. So I think that unit was a little bit better. Tennessee is historically bad on special teams. So you kind of chalk that up for what it's worth. But yeah, I think it says a lot, when you encounter these, repeat mistakes week after week after week. I think a lot of it has to be put back on the coaching staff. And I think one mistake, and we've talked, I think it was 3 of the first 4 weeks, we talked about their end of half and how they handled the end of half. And this week I was just, I couldn't understand what they were doing at the end of the half this week. Drake goes out, hits Kendrick Bourne, 11-yard completion, hits Kendrick Bourne, 9-yard completion. They're in 2nd and 1 with a minute left, and you run the ball twice and get stopped twice. And it's just, it's one of those things, why wouldn't you just let Drake not even air it out? Why wouldn't you just let him run the 2-minute drill? I'm not asking for the same, 40-yard pass to Kayshon Boutte like it was earlier in the season in his first start, but I just let him run the offense. If he's going to be out there, you have to give him the keys to the offense. And I think a lot of that can be said as well in the run game. We saw 8 carries for 95 yards from Drake, but none of that was designed.
Everything
it was
scrambles.
all off scrambles. It was all exactly. So, those sorts of things, it's time to get some designed runs in there. It's clear he can do it. So yeah, I know that was a roundabout way of answering your question, but I do think, we've seen a lot of these mistakes pile up and occur and, reoccur. And I do think a lot of that has to be put on the coaching staff.
Smeezy, I've been losing my hind parts betting on the Chicago Bears. And listen, they've been reeling. They've lost 2 in a row. All of a sudden.
That's not a good bet.
I know. Tell me about it. All of a sudden, the Patriots, I know it's a roadie. You got to go to the Shy, but is this a winnable game? I mean, look, 2 weeks ago, when I was making money on the Bears, I'd have told you, no way. The Patriots don't stand a chance in that game. Now, all of a sudden, it feels like maybe another team reeling here, a rookie quarterback having his own struggles, a coach who's not exactly a rookie head coach, but he's damn sure not a good one, and Matt Eberflus. I mean, look, is this all of a sudden, does this sort of change your mentality? Like, hey, here's a game where the Patriots maybe can get one.
I'm going to say no, and I think the biggest reason I'm going to say that is, what was it? It was definitely before the Jags game where me and you were here talking, and I said, this schedule really opens up over the next 4 to 6 weeks, and since then they've lost the Jags. Yeah. They lose this week to another really bad team. I mean, and it's just, I don't think that anything, is it winnable? Yes, I guess to answer your question, it's winnable, but I'm certainly not chalking this team down for a win or two, going forward. I think they struggle to put it all together. And, Drake might look good in one game and the defense might look better in one game and special teams in a different game, but they just can't put it together. And so I can't see them going on the road and winning. I mean, we're talking about a team that, fortunately for the Patriots, they're back at the top of the NFL draft order. So that, that's good. But this team lost to Tyler Huntley's Miami Dolphins a few weeks ago, and today they lost to Mason Rudolph and the Titans. So it's really tough for me to say that, I like them going in and playing Caleb Williams and the Bears. Yeah,
for the Bears, I mean, they still have a DeAndre Swift. They still have a Roma Dunze who's opened up. They have a Caleb Williams, as Sean points out. That's the thing today, on top of you're matching up with Tony Pollard, a tough defense. It was Mason Rudolph starting at quarterback. Yeah. We've seen this Patriots defense be famous for only beating backup quarterbacks. Now it's at the point they can't beat anybody. A lot of injuries, a lot of key guys absent. Kyle Duggar once again out with an ankle injury. Says a lot. Sean, we'll let you go. Appreciate you hopping on the show. He's Sean McGuire of NESN.com. Catch all his coverage, full coverage for him and Keegan Stiefel on NESN.com. And make sure to head over and follow him on Twitter as well. Sean, have a good one. Thanks for hopping on. I love you bring up that point, talking Chicago Bears with him, Trav.
Yeah.
I'm still not done looking at this game, though. And that's why you can't walk away from this game. What's the confidence you get of even a look ahead of them with other opponents? And that's what gets me on this one. Look, Drake May, again, I say it again, showed the flashes. He dropped back to pass 52 times. 52 times. He was sacked 4 times. PFF credited him with 3 of the 4.
Yeah.
Pressured 15 times as well. Scrambled, 8 rushes, 95 yards. All scramble plays. And you and I were talking back and forth. Well, why do you want the play design? Why do you want the read option, the RPO?
Right.
Because if you're Alex Van Pelt, you go to Drake May and you say, look, you're going to get this ball at this spot, and you don't like what you have, you can go out of bounds. It'll have you on the sideline. The sideline is a friend. Get out of bounds, but give us 5-7 yards of thread of your legs. With all these scrambles, he's in the middle of the field. He doesn't know where these defenders are coming from. Everything's chaos. He's going to take these shots. The one I'll give him, it looked like it was a sprint out right.
Yep.
And Drake May did break that out for a long run. That one I would chalk up, that's by design, giving him that RPO in a different way where he can run it or he can pass it, but the sprint out to move the pocket. Again, what we see from Drake May is great, but the rest of the team and the coaching staff letting him down, and it shows what this roster is at. It's so much more than a rookie quarterback they need to help him out to get the job done.
Yeah, but I mean, George, even in that, you just said, well, I'll give him some credit. There was a play here,
yeah,
or a
pointing
play
out
there.
One of their 65 offensive plays.
But right, and that's the thing, right? Some of coaching, let's just simplify this.
Yeah.
Some of coaching is leaning into your strengths. Like, I understand working on weaknesses and trying to attack that and make it a strength, right? I get all that.
Yeah.
But some of it is doubling down on what the hell are we good at? What can we do? What is our personnel built for? What is Drake May good at? And you and I have talked about this a lot on this show of when you see what's going on in Washington with Jaden Daniels, Cliff Kingsbury is literally running a college offense for him. But that's smart because
it works.
You're right. You're playing to his strengths.
Yeah, look at them, 7-2.
That's right. Right. And playing fantastic. Yep. So even as you kind of say that, like, well, there was 1 or 2 plays where, why wouldn't you have more? Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, man, I know I keep harping on the coaching staff here, but that's got to be some of this because we came into the season knowing, well, wide receiver is going to be an issue, right? Oh, offensive line is going to be an issue. That's an Elliott Wolf problem, and he should be held accountable. And you and I have done that on this show and more. Mm-hmm. But one thing you have to have is you have to be able to lean on. I don't care if they're rookies or not. They're still in charge. You have to be able to lean on, hey, where we need to be buttoned up at as a team, that has to be there. I would argue, George, that it needs to be more so because of the lack of talent that you have. Because you don't have a bona fide wide receiver.
Yes.
Because your offensive line absolutely sucks.
Yes.
Our coaching staff must be on top of clock management at the end of the game that you've harped on. We must be on top of, hey, I think you said this in Boston Has Entered the Chat, where you should have a special play in that moment. The scene is chaotic. Some guys are high-fiving. Some guys are sucking wind. They're so tired. Some guys are – and you say, you hold up that 2.
Yep.
We're going for 2, and we're doing the play.
Our A-plus play. We have 3 great plays we love. You go over them or practice. You meet every week in these situations. 3rd and long, 3rd and short.
And you know
we score. We need a 2-point conversion quick.
You know it like muscle memory.
Yeah, it's normal. Every team does it.
The fact that they settled for an extra point to send it to overtime. And then when I hear what Jerod Mayo said after that game, when he was asked about it, which you know is coming, and he was totally unprepared for that and caught off guard, tells me they don't have that play. So, yeah, sure, the 1 or 2 design runs for Drake May were successful.
Yeah.
Well, why in the bleeper aren't you running more of those plays? Aren't you giving him more of a chance to be successful? It really feels like this coaching staff knows that Drake May is special, and they are just leaving him out there to dry. Like, man, let's just let Drake go out there and figure it out.
Yeah.
That is a perfect way to ruin a young quarterback. Perfect way to ruin a young quarterback. And I can't believe for the life of me that this is what the Patriots want to do with this young, bright spot that they have for their franchise in a league where you have to have it.
Trev, they told us they planned to do this when they baked in that Jerod Mayo would be the next head coach and never did an actual head coaching search.
You're right.
They told us they were going to do this when they never did an actual GM search. And they even went to Elliott Wolf and go, well, we'll give you the GM title after the draft, depending how that goes. What are you doing?
Right.
You mentioned it. Let's get to Jerod Mayo. This is him after the game when he was asked if all the running around and all the chaos of that touchdown play at the end factored into not going for 2.
I'm not going to get in. I don't want to get into that. It's a good question. I just don't want to get into it now.
Yes, that's a yes. I don't want to get into it right now. Yes. Hey, but I get it. Like Kendrick Bourne said, I couldn't run anymore. Drake May said he was out of breath. He credited Ramondre for making a play. Yeah, I don't want to get into it now. That's a yes. They were gassed. Why were they gassed? Because they got the ball with 1:40 to go, and they literally scored up until the limit with no timeouts. They should have had a timeout in that spot.
It'd be
because
beautiful.
Look, everyone's going to wake up Monday morning.
Yep.
And rightfully still think the Patriots should have gone for 2 after they scored that touchdown. And they should have. Yep. You're on the road. You're a team that had no business being in that situation. You scored on a miracle play. Go for 2. Go for the win. Don't take it to regulation with your defenses gassed, which they were. But they couldn't go for 2 because the offense was gassed after that long play. And they couldn't go for 2 because of all the chaos of that 2-minute drive, which was set up by a great punt return. But why was it all chaos? Because they didn't have enough guys on the field on a punt return with just over 10 minutes to go in the game. So the head coach had to burn a timeout there. Coaching. It comes back to it. And this is what happens when you rely and put everything on a rookie quarterback. He's very talented. Yes. He can make a lot of plays. Yes. He's still a rookie. And we saw him on his 4th start hit that wall of, that was a really bad strip sack. He held on to the ball way too long. Both his interceptions, didn't see the defender there. He could have had a 3rd interception where he left the ball too much inside, where Kendrick Bourne just got beat on the outside by the coverage and off the release. The Patriots are depending too much on a rookie quarterback that is super talented and super special, but there's not enough around him to cover up for the lack of talent on the roster because of the GM and the lack of execution and discipline because of this inexperienced coaching staff. Once again, the Patriots are staring at a one-possession loss.
Yes.
Another loss in overtime.
Yep.
Just like Seattle, coaching left them out to dry. Just like Miami, coaching left them out to dry. Tennessee, coaching was the reason the Patriots lost.
Preach, man. I almost caught the NFL Holy Ghost on that. I'm looking at some since Drake May has come into the lineup, right? Like some of these games, you're just behind. He's trying to throw you back into the game. That's not a recipe for success for the kid.
Yeah.
And we see the scoreboard at the end of the game, although we are encouraged by his numbers, by the things we see. But it's like you're just putting him in a tight spot because the other team is superior to you. They've gone up on you, and you're trying to throw yourself back in the game. That's not how this team's built. But now we see this game where, because the last game he got knocked out. He got the concussion, and Brissett had to finish it. But in this game, you saw the kid make clutch plays. So you can hang your hat on that, hey, and I kept using this word all day. You heard me say it. If we were playing a drinking game, we'd be slurring all over this show. We'd be drunk because I kept saying moxie. This kid has moxie. He's tough. He's got intangibles. At the end of this game and down the stretch, he was making the plays. Even the interceptions, I don't blame the kid. I completely agree with you on the coaching because he's trying to make a damn play. No one else is helping him out. You got guys dropping the ball. What's he supposed to do? He was doing everything. But because of, I like what you're doing with this coaching staff thing because that's the root of the issue.
Yeah.
He's doing everything because you're making him. You're putting him in a position. There's no creativity. I understand. Ramondre Stevenson, and you gave this stat. Please give it again of yards after contact. But go ahead.
So Ramondre, super quick. Oh, man.
It's
this
all
is
right.
the one
Find
time
it.
I don't know
Here's my
notes.
point. You give the stat on the back end of this.
I got you.
Okay, go ahead.
Ramondre Stevenson, 10 carries for 16 yards. 17 yards after contact.
Okay. Which tells you he doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
He's getting hit as soon as he gets the ball.
Yep.
My point is this. As a play caller, this is all Alex Van Pelt. As a play caller, just because you are giving the ball to your running back and he is running literally into a brick wall does not mean you should abandon the run. There are other ways that creative play callers run the rock. Andy Reid, who's the GOAT of this, has been doing this for years. Sometimes it's an extension of the run. Sometimes it's a quick out to a back or a wide receiver or whatever. Sometimes there's end arounds. Pop Douglas is a playmaker. Why can't we get him on There are other ways to run the ball. RPOs we've talked about with Drake May. It is abysmal. And so sure, Drake May did have rookie moments, and he threw the pick in overtime and all. I don't care.
You got. It's going to happen.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's all you got.
Yes.
I think this coaching staff is failing him, which is exactly why I don't believe they should be in charge of the Patriots' future.
I leave out a big sigh. Not frustrated with what you say because I agree.
Yeah.
I let out a big sigh because from what we've seen in 4 games, which is still too small of a sample size to say if he's a bust or not.
Sure.
The quarterback position, it seems like you check the box.
It does to me.
Personnel decisions, the coaching staff decisions, none of those boxes have been checked. Let's get to Drake May.
Okay.
Here's what he had to say when asked about the situation of not going for 2.
Shoot, I was just trying to catch my breath. I couldn't even think about it. I think just looking back on it, it's easy to say. We're out there that long on such a high intensity drive. I think it's hard to go for 2. I don't think it's easy to look back and say that now. But our defense is fresh and coming out in overtime and trying to get a stop. And they did a good job of running the football today.
So the defense is fresh. You can understand in a way. They've been sitting on the sideline for around 2 minutes. Between the Patriots getting a stop, they have a 1:45 drive, which ate out all the clock. You obviously have intermission. Then you get into OT, coin flip. But that's still a defense that was on the field for 7 straight minutes in the third.
Goodness.
And around a total of 7 minutes in the fourth quarter as well. So like a quarter altogether on what they were on the field. Titans ate a lot of clock. Patriots ate a lot of clock. They were gashed. And when you go to overtime, here are the plays and the yardage. Calvin Ridley, 16-yard gain.
Okay.
Pollard, rush, 7-yard. Rush, 5+ yards. Rush, 5-yard gain. Incomplete pass. Reception for 14 yards. Rush for 4, rush for 3, rush for 9, rush for 3, rush for 5. 8 plays in overtime.
All positive.
Running plays. All the plays positive aside from the incompletion and the bad snap but they basically had a chip shot field goal.
Right.
They ended it with 5 straight runs with the same running back. The defense was gassed. But as Drake may point out, all that running around, all the chaos, high-intensity drive, good teams, well-coached teams, know on those gotta-have-it drives.
Yep.
Before they start it, we score, we go for 2. And if they have the timeouts, and the reason I pointed out the Hunter Henry reception, because it would be, well, after you score, call the timeout.
Yeah.
Hunter Henry catches the ball, 21 seconds left in the game. Likely they called the timeout there. But it's a first down. They reset the downs, and they go to him, hey, we have 21 seconds left. Here are the 3 plays. Remember, if we score, we go for 2.
Sure.
You couldn't do it because you dropped the ball earlier in the game. And it's more than burning a timeout when you didn't need to in the fourth quarter. It is having mistakes that push your field goal kicker back, and he misses it from 56. In an overtime game, in every NFL game, every point matters. But here from Drake Mayo, it was high intensity, a lot going on. We were gassed. They definitely needed a break there. But nonetheless, it showed the lack of preparation. And that's what these Patriots teams have been. They have not been prepared.
I think that's well said. I know you think I'm being hard on Tony Pollard here, and I am. It's because he's a Jag, and I ain't talking about a Jaguar.
He's better than
just
a Jag.
guy. No, he's not. He's just a guy. You couldn't stop him. Okay, listen. Jerod Mayo, as a former defensive player, a great one at that, should be losing sleep tonight that Tony Pollard beat him. You cannot, especially when you get to overtime, allow that to happen. You have got to do whatever it takes to get your defense to realize we need to stop him. Mm-hmm. If Mason Rudolph beat you in overtime because you neutralized the run, and Mason Rudolph went down and made it happen, you could sleep like a baby. Because it's like, you know what?
That'd be worse if Mason Rudolph beat me than Tony Pollard.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes,
because listen, my defense responded. This guy Tony Pollard ran all over us for 4 quarters. We came into overtime and we said we have to stop him, and we did. And Mason Rudolph, for the first time in his life, went down and made the plays. Okay, fine, because that's not going to happen. That's like an anomaly. But for the fact that the Titans punched you in the mouth for 4 quarters and then again in overtime, Jerod Mayo should be tossing and turning all night. I just can't, for the life of me, understand, again, what is it that you do, bruh? Mm-hmm. What are you giving me?
And this is after Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce ran all over you.
Right.
Tank Bigsby ran for 118 yards on you. Remember, the Jaguars.
That's right.
17 straight rushing plays.
That's right.
After Breece Hall and Braylon Allen ran for 112 yards, you do this. Look, quick Tony Pollard moment. He's a very good, explosive, athletic back.
Oh, Jesus.
He broke his ankle 2 years ago. It took him a season to get back to that. He's been really good for the Titans. He has.
Tony
But
Pollard.
I get your point. No, but here's the thing. Jerod Mayo, your background is defense.
Yeah.
And we've seen everyone run all over you.
Yeah.
And if there's a change in philosophy, which he's asked about, he goes, no, it comes down to execution, being in the right spot and run fits. You haven't seen it. You can't adjust the players. You got the roster. Coaches eventually have to make an adjustment. We haven't seen that.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Sean McGuire said this, and I just started looking at the schedule as soon as he said it. He said, because I asked about Chicago, remember? And he said, yeah, no, I don't see that. In fact, I don't see any more wins. I mean.
Maybe Indy? Because they have to come here. But that's right before the bye. Again, this is week 3 in a row of me going, Trav, they don't have a bye till week 14. God. They needed a bye week 3 weeks ago. They actually needed it like a week 7, week 6 bye.
Yes.
Look, at Chicago, home against the Rams. Rams are getting healthy, and it's a Sean McVay coach team. Obviously, I don't believe in the coaching that can outcoach Sean McVay.
No shot.
At Miami, late November, this team is losing. They're losing the locker room. You go down where you got KOD, Liv, like
right.
Tootsie's getting shoulder rubs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Home against Indy with Flacco. Maybe that Indy game. Then at Arizona, at Buffalo versus the Chargers.
Where's
versus
the
Buffalo.
wins, dog?
Maybe
where's
home
a
against
win?
Indy.
Where's?
I don't know.
Do you have one win?
No.
Me
maybe
either.
against. I'm saying maybe against Indy. That's not.
That's
a
the
win.
only one.
But that's I need to say it with my chest. Hey, talk about valleys and peaks and where they're at. This team's in the bottom of the valley. This is what Kendrick Bourne had to say after the game.
You have to just keep your head up, and that's what I've been working on personally. Also, just keeping my head up. Just it's tough, but we learn a lot about ourselves. That's what losing does, and it teaches us what we need to work on. Where we're struggling. It's all easy when you're winning, and you running off to the sunset. But when it's getting dark, and we in the valley, we see who's really all those drives where we're gonna see who's really fighting and who wants to quit. And I think we learned a lot about ourselves today as a group. So we just gotta self-evaluate and know who we want to be individually so we can be better as a group.
Look, they get the ball at the 50, set up by Marcus Jones. The offense goes 11 plays. They needed a miracle to happen. They go 11 plays, and they score a game-tying touchdown to send it to overtime. Before that, 3 yards, -1 yards, punt. 3 plays, 6 plays, 19 yards, fumble. 5 plays, 13 yards, ends in a punt. Were they net on that last one? Where there was penalty yards on that one. Were they net on that last one? 3 yards. This was a team before that 50-yard drive. They had net 21 yards of offense in the fourth quarter before that 50-yard drive. In the third quarter, good, nice long drive ended with a touchdown as well. They talk about valleys. They talk about who they got.
No, they in the valley, all right. Look, when you in the valley, George, and you look up, and you say, "Man, you want me to go up? I'm supposed to climb up that? Man, I'm turning around, going home." That's where they at. They in that valley where you look up. Yeah, I'm gonna go home, bro.
You want me to go there?
Yeah, I'm
you
going.
Want me to
home.
go down there?
No, I'm turning the hell around, getting back in my car, and driving home.
You use the term jag.
Yeah.
Jag is what the Patriots have a lot of. There's no Kyle Duggar dealing with the ankle
Fair.
injury. Ramondre Stevenson's great.
Yep.
The offensive line jags outside of Mike Onwenu.
Yep.
Drake May's great. I like Kendrick Bourne. I like Pop Douglas. Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper have been so consistent for this team. Defensively, Marcus Jones, what he does in the return game, legitimate game impact player
Sure.
on top of being a good cover corner.
Yeah.
Jonathan Jones, Christian Gonzalez, right? Those are guys. But there's a lot of guys in other spots disappearing.
Yep.
Jelani Tavai, hell of a play, interception in the end zone. He's a reason they kept this close at the end. Coaching staff, Jags.
Yes.
Just Jax. Just another coach.
Elliot Wolf. Jag.
It's tough, man. It's tough when you look at it. All right. So, positive?
Drake May.
No.
Oh.
Yes.
That's the only one I got.
Patriots, as slotted,
Okay.
number 1 overall pick.
Woo!
The top 5 draft order. Patriots at 2-7. Because of strength of schedule at 471, they would pick ahead of the New Orleans Saints if the season ended, the draft happened right now. We're 9 weeks in and we're going, yeah, baby.
Yeah, you're damn right.
Literally,
we are.
we got Tankathon.
You're damn right we are.
We got Tankathon.
Tank. In fact, George, you know what you do?
Great place to be for the Patriots.
I think at this point,
Yeah, what do you do?
you create a nice little cozy bubble, and you tuck Drake May in it, and you say, "Listen,
No.
you've done a great job, kid.
No.
And we're going to go ahead and preserve you.
No.
Because if we stay at this rate,
No.
and we're not even halfway through the season,
No.
we're going to get you decapitated.
F you.
So what you're going to do, Drake,
No.
just take you a little nappy poo, chill out, and then,
No.
hey, Jacoby, come down here in the valley. Yeah, no, Drake, no, he's going back to the car. He's going home. He's going to take a nap. Jacoby, come here. And you just let Jacoby play it out, and then you get the first pick, but
Yep.
you don't take the first pick, George.
Yep.
No. You trade back because all these teams in this tankathon, that sheet you just held up, all the teams with the Patriots need one thing, a quarterback. And with our quarterback in a bubble, chilling, I think the Patriots can trade back, acquire more picks.
I hate you.
Draft every good offensive lineman and receiver in college football.
Interesting.
Then you let Drake May back out of the bubble, and you say, come on, baby. We cooking with grease now. Thoughts?
Why do you want to put Drake May in a bubble? Real quick.
I'm concerned for his health.
Oh, now, I never said do not play Drake May because of his health. I always said don't play Drake May because the offensive line is terrible, the play calling's bad, the playmakers aren't there, and I fear his regression. So I would just like to take this moment to take the biggest victory lap in the history of Foxborough Rush. As someone that said don't play Drake May till week 13, to the person that said you play week 1. Look, this team's not ready to support him. As someone that said you shouldn't look away for trading back in this past draft because you can get multiple first-round picks, and there's a lot of voids on this roster. Tackle, receiver, quarterback. No, you take them. And I agree with taking Drake May. It does turn out well because if the Patriots say it held and they pick number 1 overall, the Saints, they need a quarterback or a tackle. Carolina Panthers, they need a quarterback.
Yes.
Cleveland Browns, quarterback or wide receiver.
Yes.
Or tackle. Raiders, quarterback. Giants, quarterback.
Yep.
Miami, tackle. And what they can do at this spot, say if the Patriots are picking 1, say if they're picking 3. I think the top 3 picks go Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
You pick your order.
Yep.
None of the teams picking those 3 should be the New England Patriots.
Facts.
The Patriots, if they're in the top 3, can trade back to a 5 spot.
You might still get a Travis Hunter, maybe.
With the Raiders, a 6 spot. With the Giants, Giants need a quarterback. They'd be willing to trade up. Titans, who you just beat, they need a quarterback. You can trade back, stay within the top 10, and you would get your pick at a Will Campbell or a Kelvin Banks. Will Campbell, the left tackle at LSU.
Yep.
Kelvin Banks, the left tackle out of Texas.
Yep.
Which Matt Miller, we've had on this program, has said you go Kelvin Banks, and he explained why. And we'll have him back on because it's getting to that point.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
The Patriots are in a great spot. And look, they shouldn't tank. You go on the field, you play to win. They're not going to tank. They're just going to lose. And they'll finish with 3 or 4 wins at most.
That's even worse.
And they will be in a top 4 situation, but in a situation where you trade back, you get more picks, and you still get the tackle you need. For anyone saying Travis Hunter, that will not translate to more wins for this team because it will not translate to supporting Drake May. And I get him. He's like a Garrett Wilson on the outside as a receiver. You need protection. You need playmakers. There has to be free agency addressed and the draft. This team needs to go tackle. They need to go receiver. They need to go offensive lineman again. They need to go receiver and playmaker again. And then corner and defensive end. There's so many needs. The Patriots sitting at number 1 overall. Great situation for them to be in because they need draft picks, they need draft assets, and they can trade back if they're in that spot.
Listen, I'm not against a Travis Hunter if you're able to acquire 2 first-round picks and he drops for some unforeseen reason, which we always see in the draft. You know, if he drops, you got to tackle early and he's there at, I don't know, I'm making this up, 11 or 10 or something, then take him. But I'm with you in terms of wherever you are, even if you trade back to a 4 or 5 in your scenario, you don't take a Travis Hunter, and I'm a huge Travis Hunter fan. You must address this offensive line. You have to do it.
Yep.
There is no generational wide receiver in this draft. That's not to say any of these kids can't play. You should take some of them. But there's no Megatron here. There's no Larry Fitzgerald walking through that door in this draft. You have to go offensive line. I personally, I'll be honest with you, whether it's 2 first-round picks or your first and your second, I think you have to take offensive line. I swear to God, I am drafting an entirely new offensive line in this draft. Give me the college all-stars on the offensive line. That's who I'd roll out. I'd have 5 rookies on that damn line next year, and they'd all be blue chippers, every last one of them. And then I'd spend some money probably in the wide receiver realm as far as free agency goes. But that's just me.
Yeah.
But I tell you what you can't do. I don't think you stay at number 1 here. You can't. I mean, it's too many good quarterbacks. Travis Hunter's a generational talent. There's going to be some desperate teams calling your line, which is exactly why Elliott Wolf should not be the person on the other end playing let's make a deal. You got to get everybody out of there. You got to get a new GM. You got to get a new coach. You damn sure need new coordinators. And that's who should be making the decision for this franchise moving forward, not the clowns we have.
And that's the issue you run into when they didn't go out and sign an actual left tackle like a Jonah Williams, right?
Right.
They didn't even add I'm not going to talk about this guy like he's a number one.
Sure.
But they don't add a receiver like a Marquise Brown, a Hollywood Brown, who is done for the season pretty much with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But you don't know what happens if he's in your door, right?
Right.
They don't go out, and I think you had a bad case of the drops, but a downfield receiver like a Gabe Davis, where you just don't add these guys, and that gives you flexibility in building out your roster moving forward. They dropped the ball in free agency where the wide receiver signings like a KJ Osborne didn't flourish. An offensive tackle signing like a Chuks Okorafor didn't flourish. And it's affecting them now. You fumble away one offseason, it affects the next. There's so many mistakes and so much ground they have to make up for. Great
said.
spot to be in.
Well said.
Great spot to be in to have number one overall pick. Does it shake out that way? I think the Saints, as of the recording of this podcast, nothing has changed. I think their head coach is done. We'll see if that wakes him up.
Yep.
Carolina, maybe they win, 2 or 3 more games. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like. Cleveland, I would rule it out with that defense and Jameis Winston. Vegas, I don't think so. Giants, that's tough. Miami has 2 in that offense. They can win more. The Patriots are in a key spot where they could be picking top 4 and where tackles are expected to go 5 and 10, depending who you like. They're in a good spot with the demand of quarterbacks and the prospects and teams of need in this draft.
The quote of the show goes to you, my friend, where
what's
you
that?
said, they're not tanking. They're just going to lose.
They're not going to tank.
So true. They're not going to tank. They're just going to lose out. They're not trying to lose, but they're so bad, they will be losing.
Is it the greatest move all time where they are tanking without us knowing?
No.
Like Robert
Because
Kraft and Elliot Wolf, low-key geniuses?
No. Here's why we know.
Robin Glazer, that's it.
Here's
She
why we
made those
know.
calls.
You went to Drake May.
Yep.
If you were truly tanking,
They would have never went to Drake
you would
May.
have never went to Drake.
And again, remember, they went to Drake May because they got off to a 2-4 start and lost to the Dolphins because of coaching.
That's right.
You wanting Drake May in the bubble? Not happening because the coaches failed you, Travis.
Yeah, you're right.
They failed me. They failed Drake May
You're
so
right.
far. You know what hasn't failed?
What?
You and I on Foxborough.
You
Rush.
damn right.
Thank you guys so much for making us a part of your day. Make sure to go wherever you catch your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime. Like, subscribe, download, rate, review. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But go to YouTube page as well for NESN. Hit the subscribe button. Go to podcasts. You'll see Foxborough Rush all there. Go to the homepage. Go to videos. You'll see all their clips we put out as well. Send us a subscription, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and email us, thechat@nesn.com, to join the conversation and give us your take on what the Patriots should do moving forward. He's Double T, I'm GB. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.